Jealousy has a way of twisting people's hearts, and I never thought it would manifest so destructively within our family. My sister-in-law, Jasmine, took my daughter, Cece, in an attempt to teach me a lesson. She claimed that my baby, our long-awaited joy, was stealing attention from her own child, whom she referred to as her miracle baby. But Jasmine's plan backfired spectacularly, and instead of disrupting my life, she found herself spending the night in jail. I've been married to my husband, Lucas, for 5 years. We met on a blind date arranged by mutual friends, and though I was skeptical at first, the connection between us was undeniable. What started as a casual evening turned into a deep and meaningful relationship. Over time, our bond strengthened as we shared our dreams, hopes, and plans for the future. Marriage felt like the natural next step, and surrounded by family and friends, we vowed to spend our lives together. Our wedding day remains one of my happiest memories, a day filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a shared future. From the start, Lucas and I both dreamed of becoming parents. We imagined the joy of raising children together, filling our home with laughter and love. But our journey to parenthood was fraught with challenges. For years, we tried everything: tracking ovulation, changing our lifestyles, eating healthily, but month after month, we faced disappointment. Eventually, we sought medical advice, only to be told that there was nothing wrong with either of us. The doctors assured us that sometimes these things take time, but waiting was excruciating. Still, we held on to hope, dreaming of the day when we'd finally see a positive pregnancy test. That day came last year, unexpectedly but joyously. When I missed my period and began feeling nauseous in the mornings, my best friend Vivian insisted I take a pregnancy test. I'll never forget the moment I saw those 2 lines. Proof that I was finally pregnant. Lucas and I celebrated the news in the sweetest way, marking the beginning of a new chapter in our lives. Throughout my pregnancy, we prepared for our daughter's arrival with great care and excitement. We decorated a nursery, chose baby clothes, and planned for every little detail. When we finally shared the news with our families, their joy matched ours, except for Jasmine's. Her reaction at our announcement dinner was cold and distant, standing in stark contrast to the excitement of everyone else. She sat silently, glaring at us with an expression I couldn't quite understand. I brushed it off at the time, chalking it up to her mood or personality, but I couldn't ignore the unease it left in me. As the months passed, Jasmine's behavior grew increasingly strange. She started criticizing everything, from our nursery choices to the baby items we purchased. At family gatherings, she would dominate conversations, often insinuating that we were unprepared for parenthood. I tried to remain patient, thinking perhaps her comments came from a place of experience, but it became clear that there was something deeper driving her remarks. One evening, during a visit to our house, Jasmine asked to see our nursery. I agreed, hoping to ease whatever tension existed between us. Instead of offering advice or compliments, she criticized everything: the room's lighting, the color of the walls, even the baby clothes we had lovingly picked out. Her tone was sharp and dismissive, and for the first time, I confronted her about her behavior. She shrugged off my concerns, claiming she was just being honest, but her words stung deeply. The tipping point came shortly after Cece was born. One afternoon, while Lucas was at work, I received a frantic call from my neighbor, who had seen a strange woman leaving my house with my baby. My heart stopped as I realized my daughter was missing. I called the police immediately, my mind racing with fear and fury. When the authorities located Jasmine, she had taken Cece to her home, claiming she was doing it to teach me a lesson because I wasn't grateful enough for my child. The police arrested Jasmine that evening, and Cece was safely returned to me. As I held my daughter close, I felt a mixture of relief and anger. Jasmine's actions were beyond comprehension. She had let her jealousy consume her to the point of endangering my child. That night, while Jasmine sat in jail, I reflected on the situation. I had always tried to keep the peace, to assume the best in people. But Jasmine's behavior was a painful reminder that not everyone acts out of love or kindness. Lucas was my rock through it all, standing by me with unwavering support. Together, we decided to put this chapter behind us and focus on building a happy, secure life for our daughter. Cece was our miracle, and nothing, no amount of jealousy or negativity, would take that away from us. The situation with Jasmine has been a roller coaster of emotional and dramatic events, beginning with her insensitivity during my pregnancy announcement and escalating into an incident that endangered the safety of my child. Each interaction with her seemed to reveal deeper issues, leading to the eventual breaking point. It started during our pregnancy announcement, where Jasmine criticized the nursery, calling it subpar, and went so far as to say the baby clothes we chose were cheap. Her comments were both hurtful and unnecessary, particularly during such a joyous and intimate moment. My mother and mother-in-law, clearly taken aback by her remarks, confronted her directly. Jasmine, caught off guard, attempted to downplay her earlier comments, claiming that the clothes felt too rough and that she was only trying to be helpful. However, my mother and mother-in-law disagreed, noting that the clothes felt perfectly smooth to them. Jasmine then tried to defend herself by insisting that, as a mother, she knew better and suggested that I should learn to accept criticism. Before I could respond, my mother calmly but firmly intervened, pointing out that both she and my mother-in-law were also mothers and would never say something so hurtful to a first-time mother. My mother-in-law reinforced the sentiment, stating that while advice can be helpful, Jasmine's comments were far from constructive. Jasmine, realizing she was outnumbered, flushed with embarrassment and stormed out of the nursery. After leaving, Jasmine sought out Kyle, who was chatting with family in the living room, and insisted they leave. Kyle, sensing her agitation, didn't press her for an explanation. He apologized to everyone for leaving early and congratulated us on our pregnancy before departing with Jasmine. Later, Kyle reached out to apologize for Jasmine's behavior. He explained that she had a traumatic history related to pregnancy, including becoming a mother at 16 and struggling with infertility during her previous marriage. These experiences had left her emotionally scarred, making other women's pregnancies a sensitive subject for her. While I empathized with Jasmine's pain, her comments and actions at the party were unacceptable. As time went on, Jasmine's behavior continued to disrupt family gatherings. When Cece was born, she made an insensitive comment about our baby's lack of hair, suggesting it was a sign she would have thin hair as she grew. While trivial, the remark was unnecessary and seemed intended to belittle. The tension peaked during Jasmine and Kyle's wedding preparations. When I confirmed to Jasmine that we planned to bring Cece to the wedding, she adamantly objected, stating that she didn't want our baby to distract from her miracle baby. I tried to reassure her that everyone had already met Cece and that no one would take attention away from her on her wedding day. But Jasmine became increasingly upset. The argument escalated until she told me I was no longer welcome at the wedding if I couldn't respect her wishes. Kyle intervened, apologizing for Jasmine's outburst and assuring me that I was still invited and welcome to bring Cece. Despite my frustration with Jasmine, I decided to attend for Lucas's sake, as he was Kyle's best man. On the day of the wedding, everything initially seemed to go according to plan. Cece remained largely unnoticed as Lucas, my mother-in-law, and I alternated caring for her in our hotel room. However, during the reception, my mother-in-law came downstairs in a panic, informing us that Cece was missing. My heart dropped as I learned that Jasmine had entered the room, while my mother-in-law was briefly in the restroom and had taken Cece without permission. Lucas and I frantically searched the hotel and alerted the staff, but after an hour, there was still no sign of Jasmine or Cece. Fearing the worst, we called the police despite Kyle's protests, as he insisted Jasmine wouldn't harm Cece. When Jasmine was finally located, she was sitting outside the hotel with Cece in one arm and her own baby nearby in a carrier. She was smoking and appeared unbothered by the commotion. I rushed to retrieve Cece, overwhelmed with relief and anger. Jasmine casually claimed she was trying to help my mother-in-law, but her smirk and subsequent comment made her true intentions clear. She admitted she had taken Cece to teach me a lesson for bringing her to the wedding against her wishes. Her lack of remorse left me no choice but to press charges for kidnapping. The police took her into custody on the spot, and the wedding ended in chaos. Kyle pleaded with me to drop the charges, insisting Jasmine didn't mean any harm, but I couldn't overlook her deliberate and malicious actions. In the following weeks, Jasmine pleaded guilty, citing emotional distress on her wedding day as an explanation for her behavior. The court sentenced her to community service and mandatory counseling. While she later apologized, I couldn't forgive her. Her actions had caused irreparable harm and shattered any trust one had in her. The fallout extended to the family. Lucas and I decided to cut ties with Kyle, who continued to defend Jasmine. My in-laws supported our decision and also distanced themselves from Kyle and Jasmine. Although the situation was devastating, it solidified my resolve to prioritize my family's safety and well-being above all else. Jasmine's actions served as a painful reminder of the importance of setting firm boundaries with those who prove themselves toxic, no matter their connection to the family.